Okay, welcome everyone to this deep dive. Today, we're looking into something that really jumped out from the source material. This idea that the real risk often isn't taking action, but actually, well, doing nothing.
It is a compelling way to frame it, isn't
Mhm.
it? Because we naturally think about the risks of doing something. What could go wrong? Could I fail?
Exactly. But these sources argue pretty strongly that inaction itself, that carries its own significant, maybe overlooked risk.
And it's important how the material defines doing nothing here. It's not like just relaxing on the couch.
Right. It's specified as the lack of proactive steps,
Right.
not moving towards goals, not tackling
Yeah,
challenges,
things like procrastinating on big decisions or avoiding changes you probably need to make.
or just staying put,
Yeah,
staying in that comfort zone instead of actually pushing for some kind of growth.
precisely. It's that inertia. You might be busy, but you're not actively moving forward on the important stuff.
So our vision today is really to unpack why this kind of inaction can be, according to these sources, the biggest risk we face. We want to explore the implications laid out.
Okay, so let's dive in. The consequences. The sources really paint a clear picture here. And maybe the most immediate one is just missed opportunities.
hmm When you hold back, when you don't sort of take that leap, you miss chances, opportunities for growth, personal or professional.
And the material's quite blunt about it. Opportunities rarely hang around waiting for you to make up your mind.
Yeah, they give examples like not throwing your hat in the ring for a promotion you're actually qualified for.
Or putting off signing up for that course, the one that could open new doors. Doing nothing in that moment means the chance is just gone.
And the sources talk about the emotional residue of that, right? The regret later on.
Oh, definitely. That lingering what if, the what could have been feeling.
And it's not just career stuff, is it? The material points to personal life, too.
Absolutely. Doing nothing might look like not dealing with a relationship issue that's just growing.
Or knowing you need to prioritize your health, but just not doing it, letting things slide.
Or letting passions you once had just fade because you don't make time or energy for them.
Yeah.
The sources are clear. These aren't small things. This kind of inaction can lead to real long-term dissatisfaction and deep regret.
That link between doing nothing and regret feels really central, and it
Mhm.
ties into another big risk the sources cover, stagnation.
Right. If you're not acting, you're essentially standing still, aren't you? You get stuck. You can't progress or, improve.
And the material connects that directly to feeling unfulfilled, like lacking purpose.
Exactly. That feeling of being stuck, of not moving forward, it really impacts your mental and emotional state
Mhm.
negatively.
It makes sense. Growth needs action, right? It needs effort.
It does. The sources stress that. Learning new skills, building healthier habits, setting goals, and actually working towards them.
hmm
These are the actions that move you.
So the risk of doing nothing is becoming complacent, losing your drive.
Yes, losing that drive to succeed or even just to evolve as a person. Complacency is a big danger zone highlighted in the material.
Something that really struck me was this point about the fear of regret. We usually fear making a mistake by acting,
Hmm.
but the material suggests maybe we fear making the wrong choice more than we fear the results of making no choice.
And that's fascinating because the argument then becomes that the regret from inaction can actually be much worse,
Mhm.
more painful, more lasting than the regret over a mistake you made while trying something.
A mistake gives you feedback, right? Experience, lessons learned, but inaction.
Inaction often leaves you just wondering, for years sometimes. The sources really emphasize that taking action, even if it fails, it teaches you something. It contributes to your growth.
That old saying, better to have tried and failed, it seems to hold true here according to the sources. The attempt itself has value.
And this all circles back, really, to mental and emotional health. The sources draw a line between constantly avoiding action and feelings like helplessness, even depression.
But the flip side is that taking proactive steps, even small ones, builds confidence.
It does. It gives you a sense of agency, like you have some control over your life's direction.
Engaging with problems instead of hiding from them, that reduces anxiety.
That's the argument. Working towards solutions rather than just worrying about the problems fosters a sense of accomplishment and purpose, which, the sources say, boosts overall mental health.
Okay, so the downsides of inaction are pretty clear based on this material. Significant downsides. Which brings us to the obvious question, why do we do it then? Why do we fall into this trap?
Well, the sources explore several common reasons, and a big one is, unsurprisingly, the fear of failure.
Just that worry that whatever you try,
All right.
it won't work out. That can be paralyzing, can it?
Absolutely paralyzing. It makes doing nothing seem like the safer bet.
And often that fear comes from what? Past experiences or maybe societal pressure that makes failure seem like inadequacy.
Yes, exactly. But as we were just saying, the sources reframe failure, not as the end, but as a natural part of learning, necessary even for real growth.
Another reason discussed is just comfort, familiarity.
Ah, yes, the comfort zone. Change feels daunting, unsettling. Staying where things are known feels safe.
But that safety is often an illusion, isn't it? The sources argue it comes at the cost of those missed opportunities, that growth we need.
Comfort zones, while comfortable, are limits. They limit your potential. That's a key message.
And stepping out takes courage, resilience.
It definitely does. But the
Figure.
sources really push the idea that the rewards, you know, growth, new experiences, achieving things, they generally outweigh that temporary discomfort of the unknown.
And then sometimes it's simpler, maybe just a lack of motivation
Yeah.
or direction.
Yeah, if you don't have clear goals, if you don't have a strong sense of purpose guiding you, it's very easy to just drift, to do nothing that really propels you forward.
Having that clear vision, setting goals you can actually achieve, that provides the motivation you need, like a map.
Exactly like a map. It clarifies the destination and, crucially, the steps to get there. Makes it feel less arbitrary, more purposeful.
And the advice to break big goals down, that seems key.
Oh, absolutely. Into smaller, manageable tasks. The sources really highlight this. It stops you feeling overwhelmed and just keeps you putting one foot in front of the other. Keeps you moving.
So these are powerful forces pushing towards inaction. How do we fight back? The material offers some practical strategies.
Yes, thankfully it does. A really foundational one they discuss is setting SMART goals.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. We've heard the acronym, but the source is presented as a really practical tool.
Very practical. It provides structure,
Yeah.
clarity. It helps you track your progress, which is huge for staying motivated. And yes, it's great for breaking down those daunting tasks into like bite-sized pieces.
Makes sense. Another strategy mentioned is building a support system.
Crucial. Surrounding yourself with supportive, encouraging people. It provides motivation, yes, but also accountability.
Accountability is key, isn't it? Knowing someone might ask how it's going.
Definitely. And that network, friends, family, maybe mentors, they offer different perspectives, share experiences, help you navigate the rough patches, keep you committed.
And when you do stumble, because you probably will, self-compassion comes in.
Hugely important, according to the sources. Being kind to yourself, especially after a setback.
It's not about making excuses, is it? It's about
It's about maintaining motivation, preventing discouragement from totally derailing you. You have to recognize that everyone faces challenges, everyone stumbles sometimes. It's okay.
and that kindness fosters resilience, helps you bounce back.
Precisely. It helps you recover from failures without getting trapped in self-blame, helps maintain a positive outlook so you can keep trying despite the obstacles.
The sources also mention mindfulness and reflection, taking that time to pause.
Yeah, to really reflect on your goals, where you are, what's challenging you. It gives you valuable insights, keeps you aligned with what you actually intend to do.
And mindfulness itself, like
Wow.
meditation or just
Yeah.
being present, that helps with anxiety,
Huh?
focus.
That's the idea. By staying present, engaging with what you're doing now, the sources suggest you're less likely to get overwhelmed by worrying about the future or dwelling on past regrets. It channels your energy into current action.
Okay, and one more strategy, celebrating small victories.
Yes, this isn't just feel-good fluff. It's presented as a concrete way to boost motivation, to reinforce those positive action-taking behaviors.
So acknowledging the small steps forward matters.
Absolutely. Recognizing and maybe even rewarding your progress, however small it seems, keeps you inspired. It reminds you that you are moving forward, gives you that sense of achievement.
So if we pull all these threads together from the material, the core idea seems really clear.
It does. The real risk, very often, even in the action, but in the lack of action. Taking action is framed as just, essential, for progress, for fulfillment, both personally and professionally.
And the argument is that if you understand the risks of doing nothing, and you consciously use strategies like the ones we discussed to overcome those barriers.
Then you can lead a more purposeful life, a richer life. It's about embracing change, facing fears, and just committing to continuous improvement.
There's also this hopeful note in the material, isn't there, that it's never too late.
Definitely. Never too late to start. Even tiny steps, taken consistently, can lead to really significant changes down the line.
The path won't always be easy, but the potential rewards growth, satisfaction, achievement, they make the effort worthwhile. That seems to be the conclusion.
Patience and persistence are vital, though. Progress can feel slow. But the sources really encourage trusting the process. Every effort counts. It all moves you closer.
Exploring this material, what really resonates, for me anyway, is this thought that maybe the most important first steps aren't always the big dramatic ones we imagine.
Which leads to a final thought, perhaps, for you, the listeners. You think about all this. What if the most crucial first step isn't some grand gesture, but simply trusting the process? And maybe even more fundamentally, trusting in your own ability to just
Happily.
begin, something to reflect on.